Well, it's been raining here on the farm, kind of knocked me out of doing a few chores, and so I got nothing better to do. I thought I might stir the pot a little bit and talk about the Massey Ferguson 1105 versus the International Harvester 986. Now, let me just say that I like International Harvester tractors, and I wouldn't mind having an 886. I wouldn't mind having a 966 International. Those two in particular appeal to me. But you know, we bought this Massey Ferguson after owning the International 756, which was a gas narrow front. There's some videos on it. For us, it was a real dud. And but I just haven't owned this thing for a few years. I just thought I'd go around and talk about some things that we've kind of come to appreciate and like over the International, and really the 756 and 66 series, the 86 series, in a lot of ways are kind of constructed the same. The you know, a TA, and I just kind of get into some of these things, location of components, things like that. And so I'm not trying to make anybody mad. I'm just telling you, for 1977, in my opinion, Massey Ferguson was ahead of International on their tractors, and I'll tell you why. So I'm kind of picking on the 86 series, in particular the 966, and you know, the first thing that comes to mind is the door. And the Massey Ferguson door swings wide open. It doesn't swing forward like a car, and so it's really easy to get in and out. The door, as a lot of people say, on the Massey Ferguson swings in the right direction. And speaking of getting in and out, the steps on the Massey Ferguson are massive, and they've got this little graded piece of steel right here. You know, it's, I guess you can trip and fall on any set of steps, but I know the steps on the 986, especially on the first ones they came out with, were pretty small. But these are nice big steps, easy to get into the tractor. It's probably not a deal killer on the 986. I'd like to have one, but some of the comments I read are about the ergonomics of the 86 series tractors, and how, you know, the shifters are over here on this side, and you got to get in and get around those shifters. On the Massey Ferguson, your shifters are right here. You don't have a big TA lever. You have just a little lever right here that you throw. Same thing with the PTO. You know, it's all right here on the dash. The throttle is right handy. One thing that's really nice about the 1105, 1135, the 1100, the 1130 Massey Ferguson is that it has an accelerator pedal right here under the steering wheel. So you know, there's some people that have adapted, you know, a foot throttle on the 986 tractors. On 1977, before and after, that foot throttle was standard. The cab on this 1105 is huge. You know, I could set a cooler or a toolbox down there. I don't have a buddy seat set up here. I could. One thing about the 986 that people talk about with the 86 series is it's hard to see the drawbar. They've got the cab shifted forward, which some people say makes for a rougher ride. But on the Massey Ferguson, you can see the drawbar easy. You can see I've got a clevis down there. There's a window on this side and one on the other side, and you can kind of look out the back window here and see it. So backing into a hitch, whether it's 3-point or drawbar, you know, it's really easy to see on the 1105. My understanding is the 86 series, it's kind of hard to see, you know, looking out the back of the cab. Your hydraulic remotes are right here, and your raising and lowering, draft control, position selector, all this stuff is right here on the right side of the tractor. And so you know, from an ergonomic standpoint, this tractor is really nice. The steering wheel, it's a tilt wheel standard, and it's also telescoping. You can set this wheel at the angle that you're comfortable with, or just set it up out of the way when you want to get out of the cab. And or you can, you know, you bring that wheel up and down. A very big man could fit in this tractor really easy. There's no door on this side like the 86 series, but I'm not really sure that I've ever known anybody that had a 86 series or talked about it on the internet actually used the you know, the right hand door. A lot of people have you know, monitors and things like that set up across here, but this window tilts out and this way and locks. This back one tilts up. There's a little lever right here you can lift up, and then you know, the cab is reasonably quiet. It's got a, I don't know, this one probably has had a sound kit at some point in its life. I don't know, but on the other hand, it's only got 4,800 hours. It's got a great big windshield. I know a lot of the international guys, they like to slam John Deere for having on their curved sound guard cab, they've got a post in the middle of the windshield. People talk about, you know, I can't see around the post. I don't see how you see around the post, but you know, that on that sound guard cab, it's lined up with the muffler. So I mean, I really think that's kind of a red herring. But on the Massey Ferguson, it's got a great big windshield. The visibility down on the side. There's a window down on the front on either side. The cab doors. You know, it's kind of a squared up cab, but it's done really well. And then of course on this door you can prop it open right there on that. And I don't know if you can prop open the door on a 86 series or not. I imagine you could. But you know, from just a comfort and ergonomic standpoint, I think the Massey Ferguson has a bigger cab, better visibility, and certainly the ergonomics. All of this is very, very nice. I think Massey Ferguson was ahead of their time. If I had to ding it for anything, it would be that the starter switch is down here and the lights are down here. So I kind of got to lean into it to get to them, but that's really not a big deal. So we'll just kind of walk around the perimeter of the tractor and talk about a few things. I believe on the 86 series and the 66 series, and I'm pretty sure on my 756, this starter motor right here set right in behind the engine. And you know, if the 66 series had a cab, it could make it difficult to get the starter motor out. I think on the 86 series, maybe it's a little bit easier. I'm not sure, but this has a Perkins 354 cubic inch diesel. These engines have been around in a lot of tractors. Massey Ferguson. They were used in Oliver and White tractors. You know, the 2105. The Oliver 1850 had the 354 Perkins in it, and these engines are extremely fuel efficient. They do not guzzle the gas. They're strong. They run great. This one just runs like a sewing machine. And one of the big things is on the 86 series, 66 series International, they have wet sleeve engines, as I understand it. And because of that, you can have cylinder liner cavitation issues. And so on the 66 series and 86 series, you'll see a kind of a coolant conditioner that you have to maintain. The Perkins has a dry sleeve, so that cavitation, as I understand it, is not an issue. And so that's, you know, when I was looking for an International, and again, I'd buy an International, I wouldn't hesitate to buy an International 66 or 86 series tractor, but when I'm looking to see what sets in this space right behind the alternator, because if it doesn't have that dosing coolant thing on there, then you might have some issues with your tractor, with the engine and cavitation and water, I guess, getting into the oil. It can destroy an engine or lead to a really expensive rebound. When you look at the International, even my 756, I had to climb up on the hood to get to the fuel tank. On this tractor, you can service everything except the radiator cap from the ground. And right here's where you put your fuel in. There's two batteries. There's one on this side behind this door, and there's one on this side behind these steps. It just flips out. The hydraulic oil filter and the air conditioner filter dryer, I think that's what it is, and the air filter, all that stuff's behind this panel. Air filters behind this panel. I believe on the 66 and 86 series Internationals, you have to take this part of the hood off just to get to the air cleaner. At least on my 56 series International, they had a little hatch right there. And of course, when you go to get up on top of the hood to check the coolant, there's a handle and a piece of non-slip on the front axle. Now, speaking of the front axle, on the Internationals, they have a round front axle that's like a tube going inside a tube. And so I've seen some videos of people trying to bring their wheels in, maybe the 30-inch centers, or maybe I can't say that I've seen one where they've been taking it out, but because that tube inside a tube, it rusts up, and it can be a real gigantic pain to take apart. You can see right here, this front axle is rectangular, and it's not a bad job to move these wheels in or out. In fact, when I got it, you might be able to see it, they were pulled in. The spacing on this one, the wheels were pulled in, and it actually had dual wheels on it. And I had them set the wheels out to 80 inches on center, which takes the outside wheels close to 100 inches, and it kind of fills out the width of a flatbed. But more importantly, on these hills, I wanted that stability. And this tractor is the most stable tractor on this farm. But again, I don't think this was a big deal. In fact, the dealer said it was that I bought it off of. He thought he was going to have to charge me to do that for some shop time, but he said it went so easy he wasn't going to charge me anything. I don't know what it is with International Harvester and rust. I had an original Scout 800A, and it had some rust on it, but then the Scout 2 came out, and the pickup trucks in the 70s, and the rust is just off the charts. And a lot of times on the International cabs, you'll see this corner post rusted out. You'll see a lot of rust in the doors. Honestly, I think this cab on this Massey Ferguson is as solid as the day it came off the factory floor. And I've looked at other Massey Fergusons online, and where they've got pictures, and I really don't see or read about rust issues with the cab on the Massey Ferguson, but certainly the international cabs, the 86 series cabs, could have some rust issues. There's a big handlebar to get in right there to go along with the steps. I don't know how hard or easy it is to replace the shock mounts on the cab on the internationals, but I'm to understand on the Massey it's kind of a breeze. In fact, I don't know if you can, people actually use it, but you can put a bolt through here and take the cab loose, and I've seen it in the manual, I think it hooks to this drawbar, and you can grab the cab and just tilt it back in order to get access to the floor under the cab. But you can also take the floor up if you need to get in there. This one has one thing I do like about the International. They have the 540 and 1000 PTO shaft. You don't have to take anything out on this tractor. You take these bolts out, and this just comes off, and you put a 1000 PTO shaft on it. And I've got the 1000 PTO shaft for this tractor. This is a category, it's supposed to be category 2, but the lift arm eyes are category 3. And I have these tractors came standard with a quick hitch that's very, very good, and I've got one of those I need to put on here. On the Massey, the draft is off the top link. The draft control on these tractors is supposed to be really, really, really good. The downside of it is, you need a it's not lower sensing off the lower lift arm, so you need a plow. If you got a plow that you need draft control that has a mast on it that'll work that top link. On the other hand, on the quick hitch, there's 2 places where you can mount that quick hitch into these lift arm holes, and one of them creates a bit of a lever, and when you do that, then you can induce the draft effect off the top link based on the geometry. So there is a workaround with the quick hitch. But certainly International has, I think their draft is off the lower lift arms, which I think probably on a tractor this big is probably better. And the convenience of having 2 PTO shafts right there ready to go is pretty good too. So one thing that International has is they have a TA, a 2-speed kind of on-the-go shift from a higher speed to a lower speed, which is very good. The Massey Ferguson has what they call multi-power. This tractor has it. They could be had without the multi-power. So this has 3 forward speeds in low, 3 in high, and so basically it's 12 speed. I think the International is 4 low, 4 high, so you have a little more gear selection on the International. The International doesn't freewheel the International doesn't freewheel in high or low. The Massey Ferguson will freewheel in low, so you have to be kind of mindful of that. I haven't found that to be a disadvantage on this farm. It's the tractor's so heavy, and if you're pulling something behind it, I just really, it's kind of like that bar in the window on the Sound Guard tractors. A lot of people make a big to-do about it, but it's really not anything of consequence. I don't know from personal experience, but I've read, one of the most frequent topics on the internet you read about with regard to the TA on International is they have a way of going out, and some of them are durable, you know, like up to, I don't know, maybe 10,000 hours, but it is a frequent thing to read about a TA going out on an international tractor. The multi-power on the 1100, 1130, 1105, 1135 Massey Fergusons, and probably the V8 counterparts to them. The multi-power on these tractors, knock on wood, are supposedly bulletproof, and it's very, very rare that you have issue with the multi-power. It does have a I believe it's a radial pump on the front, and there's another pump under the seat. Sometimes I guess the big thing I'll read about these Masseys is there's a spline that connects to the pump under the floor, and that's a charge pump for this radial pump. And sometimes that spline is made to strip out, and sometimes it does. And when that happens, you lose your, as I understand it, you lose your power steering, your PTO, and your 3-point lift. And so you're looking at splitting the tractor. Now, I'm also to understand that the Massey Ferguson is very, very easy to split. And I asked this question online, you know, with my 756, if it had a TA, it wasn't, I don't know that was, you know, I'm not sure that a 986 is a tractor that I can just take to whatever tractor mechanic happens to be around here. I think you have to have some knowledge about the TA and the MCV, some of those nuances about the international tractor. You know, that's probably not a big deal, but what I was told about these Masseys like this is pretty much anybody can work on them. They're just real easy to split and repair. So that's a good, that you know, I don't know that I want to take this tractor necessarily to a dealer and pay, you know, some outlandish prices to have it repaired. So it would be nice to take it to a competent mechanic, but not necessarily one that has to have specific info on how to deal with the TA and MCV and that kind of thing. And it's probably not that complicated either. So I can't say that would be a deal breaker one way or the other, but I would say potentially this tractor might be a little bit easier to split. The hydraulics on the Massey 1105 are closed center. I think they have a pressure up to close to 2,600 psi, and I don't remember the flow. It's over, I think it's over 20 gallons. I don't know that we would ever have a need for that. The International is open center, and I think that other people have more reasons for open versus closed center than we do, but I get the impression that closed center hydraulics are better, for whatever that's worth. From a weight standpoint, this tractor weighs more than the International. This tractor, as it sits right now, with the cast wheel centers and the weights on the front, this tractor is going to be over 15,000 pounds. And I believe a 986 is going to come in around 10 or 12, depending on how it's balanced. And I'm also including fluid in the wheels in that 15,000 pound number. That's important to us, because when we bring our wagons off the hill, loaded hay wagons, I want plenty of weight on the contact patch on these tires. I don't recall if the International has spin-out wheels. I just don't. This one has 1838s standard tires. I believe the 986 has 1838s. I think when they first came out, they had 34s, but most of them I see online have 38s, and so this makes a nice Seems like a bigger tire smooths out the bumps, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, sometimes where the rubber meets the road on these tractors is in terms of what you're pulling and the ability of the tractor to stand up to it. And, you know, some would argue that International has a stronger rear end, and I don't know, maybe they do or maybe they don't, but, you know, if you turn this tractor up and put weights on it, you know, on the drawbar or on the 3-point hitch, plowing or whatever, you know, I don't know if you could tear the rear end out or not. In '76, they beefed up I think the ring gear was made wider, and there were some other things, I think. And so in 1976 and above, the rear end and these Massey's were more stout. But I will say this, I know of farmers that have these, and I've had them for years and years and years. I'm talking dairy farms and tillage and things like that, and they've never had any issues with the rear end. And but you know, you don't hear a lot about International having problems in the rear ends pulling, but I don't think there's any issue with these tractors as far as pulling, you know, within the limits of the tractor horsepower. I would kind of qualify it a little bit like that, but I will say that I know personally people with these tractors, and they've been using them forever, and they haven't tore out a rear end yet. From a parts standpoint, one thing I do like about International is there's probably no part that you need that you can't still get for them, either from Case IH or, you know, aftermarket. So I think the parts situation on these tractors are going to be a little tighter. You know, I don't think you can buy the radial pumps new anymore. I don't know about the charge pumps, but certainly they can be rebuilt. And the Perkins diesels, you know, they can be rebuilt, no problem there. There's no rails on this tractor. The engine is I think they call them a structural block. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but certainly it makes access to the engine pretty easy. Oil fill, lift pump, filter, that kind of thing. You know, one comment that I've had people say to me, or I've read online, or I would expect, you know, with this video, is if these 1105, 1135 tractors are so hot, you know, why are there so few today compared to the, you know, International? And I think that can probably be explained with both Massey Ferguson and Oliver and White. And that is, you know, they made great tractors in these series, and the White 205, 2105, the Massey Ferguson 1105, 1135, Oliver 1850, those Perkins powered tractors, as great as they were, my view is the biggest problem with these tractors in terms of numbers was not that they weren't a great tractor and could go head to head with International and John Deere. It's just that there weren't as many dealers, and there weren't as many farmers farming. You know, the John Deere and International were so entrenched in the farm fabric in this country. You know, they could sell a toy tractor and outsell anybody. It just the sheer volume of their dealer network and their ability to produce tractors and all that. I would say if you don't find as many of these out there as you do, you know, a 986 or a 1086, it's because there just wasn't as many made. And so that doesn't mean that this is not a great tractor. The fact that fewer were made than International doesn't really tell the whole story about the quality of these tractors and the capability of them. So that would be kind of a red herring argument to me. So I guess the bottom line is, you know, the Massey Ferguson, especially the 1105, the 1135, in my mind, these are very good tractors, and they're just a lot of positive things about them that I've just showed, and the thing about it is, generally, you can buy one of these for less money than an International, and without a doubt, a lot less money than than equivalent John Deere, and they'll deliver the mail and do what you need. And I would lump white tractors in with this 1105. You know, a white 2105, or even the white 285. It doesn't have a turbo, but those whites that had the 3-speed over and under that came from Oliver and the Perkins diesel, it's really hard to beat that combination. The Perkins is a very reliable engine. You know, it's very, very fuel efficient. It just starts so easy. And, you know, I run this thing. It runs cool. And, but I would not, based on this video, ditch buying an International. They're all good in my opinion. These tractors that came out in the 70s, the mid to late 70s especially, I think they're really good tractors. But in my opinion, the Massey Ferguson 1105 and 1135 are going to be some of the best valued tractors out there. And you know, you get a lot more than just a good price with these tractors. You get a lot of nice features, like a really nice cab, you know, servicing everything from the ground without getting up on the tractor, and good hydraulics. It's a very comfortable tractor to drive. So is it better than a International 986? I don't want to make anybody mad, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions. But the Massey Ferguson and this design has worked out pretty good on our farm, and we'd like to have another tractor similar to this, maybe even an open station, certainly a 966 International. I would consider a 986, or I'd really like the 886 International with the 360 International engine instead of the German, I think it's a 358 diesel. But we would definitely buy another one of these Massey Fergusons, either an open station 1105 or 1100 or 1130 Massey Ferguson. Oh, before I forget, there's one more thing. So, and this one's kind of important to me with our hills. The brakes on this Massey Ferguson 1105 to 1135, they're like conventional hydraulic brakes, like you'd have in a truck, like a pickup truck. There's a master cylinder, and you know, you mash the pedal and the brakes are applied. And on the 1100 and 1130 series tractors, they're full power brakes, and if you lose power while you can pump them up, there's a reservoir that you can pump up. You know, if the engine shuts off on this tractor and we're on the side of a hill, you know, we can mash the brakes and the tractor will stop, just like a car with manual brakes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The Internationals are the same way, and while you can pump them sometimes in a split second, And when I say the same way, I'm talking about full power brakes, not manual brakes like this and a master cylinder. So on the International, if you lose your power, you know, you can pump the brakes, but sometimes things happen in a split second. And in spite of the rhetoric, a split second may not be enough time to get yourself from getting in a bad situation. And I was in a field over here making the transition on my International 756, and I was going up a little grade pulling a hay rake with it, and the engine stalled out on me, and I started rolling backwards, and I couldn't pump the brakes fast enough, and it didn't occur to me to let out on the clutch. The tractor didn't have a TA, so it would have, you know, the gearing should have stopped me, but it all happened so fast. And the only thing that stopped me was I had a dolly wheel hay rake, and I backed into it. The hay rake kind of went sideways, and my back wheel just kind of landed against it. I wasn't doing anything fast, but everything happened real fast, and I couldn't pump the brakes fast enough to make the tractor stop so I could get restarted, and I rolled back into my implement. That's what kept me from going to the bottom. I don't think it would have been a problem rolling to the bottom. It was just a little tiny slope there, but nonetheless, you know, my heart was beating as fast as it would have been if I'd have walked up on a rattlesnake or a copperhead. And but when I looked at these 1100 series, one of the things that caught my attention was the brakes, and with respect to our heels. So, you know, we can stop this tractor without the engine running, and just another nice feature about these tractors. So again, I think these are a good value for a small farm like we've got. If you need higher horsepower to run your mower conditioner, the AC on this tractor is good, and you know, knock on wood, I hope we don't have any issues, but I would highly recommend this Massey Ferguson 1105. I wouldn't dissuade you from buying a 986. And again, I'll kind of let you make up your mind which one you prefer, but I can tell you we're very happy with this tractor. That's kind of the video here, the Massey Ferguson 1105, and I thought I'd just kind of compare it to the 986 International. And I think it's a pretty decent tractor. I think it's well thought out, and a lot of nice things about it. You know, servicing from the ground, a really big cab, great hydraulics, very, very fuel efficient engine, easy to do maintenance on. It's just a really nice thought out and designed and built tractor, and as I mentioned, we wouldn't mind having another one up here. So, you know, with that, I'll just kind of close this video and leave comments. Keep them positive. I know talking tractors and brand to brand can be like talking about girlfriends and motor oil. Things can get passionate in a hurry, but that's just my thoughts on the Massey Ferguson 1105. So we'll talk to you later.